Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Werkin Girls. I am Ginger Minge.
And I'm Trinity the Tuck. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you've been listening, for a while, and God bless you.
Yeah, please keep listening. Share it. If you love it, send it to your best friend. If you hate it, send it to your worst enemy. We don't care. We'll take the view where we can get it.
As long as you're listening, bitch.
Now, speaking of listening, we never would have gotten anywhere in our careers if we didn't listen to those who really kind of paved the road for us.
I know. You're talking about old people.
Not old people. They are women of a certain age. And girl, we are inching our way.
Girl, I'm already there. I'm already there. There is like duct tape holding this up.
Girl, there are parts of you that are still illegal to touch.
Yeah, you're right. But, there are some original parts. My kneecaps.
Well, those were the only thing I had done.
Oh.
I had my kneecaps done. I thought
you're like, I have no neck, so I don't want kneecaps.
Exactly. Take them all out. I want to look like a frozen butterball turkey. But the queens who paved the way for us, who really made it possible for us to be successful and do the things that we do, we owe them a debt of gratitude. And on top of being like really awesome professional people, most of them are cool as shit.
Yeah, and today we have one of the most iconic drag queens out there today.
Today, yesterday, and tomorrow. She paved the way, and she's going to push us down, run us over, and keep going long after we're gone.
And I'm super excited to have her.
I am too. I mean, I've had her twice before, and
how are the Yelp reviews?
Not great.
Oh.
Not great. But with a little bit of ointment from the clinic, everything cleared up just fine. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, the one, the only, the iconic and legendary Miss Sherry Vine.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
Wonderful.
You look great.
You do.
Thank you. I just woke up, rolled out of bed, little lip gloss.
Yeah, you look like AARP Barbie.
Thank you. Oh my God, that is literally what I've been calling myself the past.
Well, I love it because I've known you for probably like 6 or 7 years now. We've worked together a lot, and I keep getting older and saggier, and I feel like Sherry just gets more and more beautiful, and it makes me mad.
Well, girl, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there's plenty of fillers too.
You've seen the body, right?
Yes. Her legs. She has great legs.
She didn't even have her kneecaps done.
I started wearing knee pads at a very young age, and so it's never been a problem.
That's great.
It's important to pad properly.
Absolutely. I never did my hips, but I've always done my knees.
That's great. That's just life advice.
That's great. That's a great advice for all the queens out there. A lot of these new girls do not pad, which is fine, but definitely pad your knees, if nothing else.
That's how you'll get ahead, or some head, whichever.
I miss you both because Trinity and I don't know each other very well. We just had connected in a Delta lounge.
Yes, It was fun.
At an airport. I was like, oh my God, she's so cool and fun. And Ginger and I have done a lot together. And once you go to the Olive Garden together, you're bonded.
But when you're there, you're family.
Yes.
Is that their slogan?
That's their slogan.
Oh, wow.
We went to the one in Orlando.
We went to the one that's right over in Millennia, right next to the Mall of Millennia.
The classy one.
It was me and Sherry and Jackie B.
Oh, fun. That must have been a fun conversation.
It was a fun conversation, and I think we petrified the poor boy who was our server that evening.
That's just normal wherever drag queens go.
Well, and then Jackie just asking for more breadsticks in the most obscene and vulgar way possible. Just kind of was the icing on top of the cake.
Well, how have you been doing through the pandemic with drag? I mean, I know we're all in the same boat. We're starting to see the end of the tunnel.
Finally, yeah. I mean, I cannot complain at all on any level. I mean, I moved to Los Angeles right before it started from New York City. And as much as I was in New York for 30 years, so that's my home. But as much as I love it, I'm thank the universe that I was not there during this because
Yeah.
I lived in a room.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't even really cook in the kitchen. I ordered or got takeout every meal, sitting on my bed, eating dinner. I mean, that was New York.
When I
And
lived in New York, that's what I did too. I rented a room. And so it was the same kind of story. Like you lived within the confines of that teeny tiny one little room and you had to have everything brought in.
yes, I literally lived in my bedroom. And so to be quarantined in a house with a pool was really like this blessing, and it just made it a lot easier. And I also kind of like adapted and evolved super quick. Like Jackie and I were performing in Puerto Vallarta. We left a week early to come home. And the minute I realized, okay, this is not just going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like Amazon ordering lights and microphones and sound equipment and green screens. We converted the living room into a studio, and I was like, okay, we're doing online shows.
Well, and the two of you were really like, you were in that first group of queens that started pumping out digital content.
Well, that's what I love about like you and Jackie Beat, and there's several others.
Coco Peru.
You already write your own show, so this is kind of like, that was kind of easy for you. Like, you know, it's actually easier because you don't have to do drag from the waist down.
I had to put on heels. I did my first live audience show just like 2 weeks ago, and I put on heels and my feet were like, bitch, we thought we were done.
I did the same thing. So you and I, we both play Blanche in live stage productions of the Golden Girls.
And I play Blanche in real life.
But that's true. I can attest to that. There's a line of men out the door right now. But we just had our first big performance since all of this happened this past weekend. And there I am running around backstage in those heels. And, you know, Blanche Devereaux, she wears her heels.
Yeah, she's
morning, noon, and night. And by the end of the first act, I was like, oh my God, oh, my ankles can't take it anymore. They're not used to this.
Yeah.
I felt like a piece of veal. You know?
Yeah, because that's so sad. We're not going to talk about the process of veal.
No, but
that I totally get why you say that.
If you don't get the reference, just look up how veal is made.
And you'll never eat meat again.
I know. That is hilarious. Yeah, my feet were kind of like, bitch, what's going on? But I had a good time doing the online stuff. And then once I got a taste of the live audience with the applause, like the first time I heard that applause, I was like, oh, all right.
You're revived.
Yeah, I'm like, now the thought of kind of doing an online show is not as whatever. And let's just say I'm ready to go back to live audiences for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, out of the living room. But I was lucky. And then to get the green light on my variety show, I started writing that last May, exactly a year ago. So that took up all summer writing. And then September was like pre-production. We're recording in October. We were filming in November. And so that really used my time. And it was a dream come true.
Tell us about that.
Like, it's so fantastic.
Tell us the name of it, where people can watch it. What's it about?
Yeah, I mean, I did a variety show like 8 years ago for Here TV called She's Living for This, and that's on Hulu now. I don't own any of that at all. Like I have nothing to do. It's on Hulu. I don't have anything to do with it. But that was really like a dream come true. And then I started talking to Jacob at PEG probably like 4 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
About doing a new variety show that's not She's Living for This, that's different, but still the variety show format. And so Jacob worked so hard and got Out TV to greenlight it. So it's going to be on Out TV, partnered with Apple Plus, and it premieres May 25th. A week from today. And it's 6 episodes, and it's very different than She's Living for This, but still like Carol Burnett variety show format. It's a dream. I moved to LA for it. Jacob went, oh my God, this would be so much easier if you were here. And I was like, that's all I needed to hear. And I'm like, I moved.
Although that seems like famous words from Jacob and David.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's it.
I'm like, I can't move right now. I'm very busy.
I've been talking about moving here for years. And Jackie and I, when we started doing the Golden Girls and stuff in LA, I was coming back and forth. And I was like, I need to move to LA. I just want a new chapter and the weather. And she's like, you're never going to leave New York. But then literally the minute Jacob said that, I was like, oh, that's it. That's all I needed to hear.
That's the sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everything happens in its season for its reason in its time.
Yeah.
I've always believed that.
This is, like you said, this is a new chapter. You were born in Florida, and then you were raised where?
In the suburbs of Baltimore.
Yeah. So you've like kind of lived everywhere.
I've lived in a lot of places because I grew up in Baltimore, so I lived there all of my youth. And then I moved to LA to go to college. And then I moved to New York City. And in the 30 years I was in New York City, 3 of those years I lived in Berlin.
Word.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And I spent a year in Barcelona. So yeah, I've lived a lot of places and it was just all like amazing. And now I'm kind of like full circle. I feel like I'm back in LA doing the things that I really intended to do 30 years ago.
Which was suck lots of uncut dick.
Honey, serving the Armenian community.
Okay, there's so much to unpack from everything that was just said. So I've known you for years. I feel like we're pretty close friends, and I did not know you were born in Florida.
Yeah, Gainesville.
In Gainesville, which, I'm from Lake County. I'm from Leesburg, which is right outside, it's just past Gainesville.
Yeah.
Gainesville.
Y'all are a bunch
minutes.
of like white trash. I am so glad I was not born in Florida and I was born in Alabama.
Alabama.
My parents were students at the university.
Oh, really? Yeah. UAB or UA?
University of Florida. Is that what it is?
Oh.
In Gainesville?
Oh, in Gainesville.
Yeah.
That's how they met you. And then they got
Florida
pregnant.
Gators.
Oh.
Gators.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, yeah, but all my relatives my parents were both from Tampa, and all of my parents are the only ones on both sides of the family that left Tampa. So everybody's still in Tampa.
Do you still get back to Florida to visit family?
I do, not a lot, but at least once a year. I mean, my dad's side of the family is Jewish, and they're ultra liberal, democratic, gay friendly, like amazing.
So they're Jewish, like my husband's family.
They're Jewish. They're very, very modern Reformed Jews. And my mom's side of the family is Southern Baptist, like Jesus thumping, very different.
Yeah, yes, that's where I grew up as.
Me too.
We literally, like my church that I grew up with was at the top of this mountain. I'm not even kidding. Mountain. It was like a really tall hill. And it was called New Lebanon Baptist Church. Girl, you had to go down a dirt road into some woods, honey, to get to this little bitty one-room church. Girl, it was
white
scary.
And wooden.
It was white. It's white and wooden.
Yeah, that's the same with my church.
Did they pour like spiders or snakes over themselves?
No, that's Pentecostal. But I have family members that are Pentecostal too. I've never been to that Namyo Renge Kyote shit. I can't do all that.
Namyo Renge Kyo, that's Buddhism.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You're educating me. I'm not religious at all.
I only know that because of Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
Well, the Buddhism, Namyo Renge Kyo, yeah.
I thought that was like voodoo.
No, that's a big part of the movie, girl. Watch it.
Oh.
I'm not religious either. I mean, I actually appreciate the rituals in the Jewish, like Passover and all of that. Like, I love that part of it, but I don't need to be a part of any organized religion.
No.
Well, and that's the thing with me, I still, I was born and raised Southern Baptist, so I have a lot of those ideals in my head, but I don't really conform to the teachings and the thinkings of the church.
Yeah.
I have my own relationship with my higher power, and, I'm cool and comfortable with my spirituality, but I had to leave the Southern Baptist church because it was just too much.
Were you born in Orlando?
I was born in Leesburg, raised in Umatilla.
Umatilla?
Yeah.
What in the gay country ass is that?
Exactly what you think it is.
Umatilla. That sounds like they didn't know how to say armadillo, so they said Umatilla.
Well, you said that you had to drive down the dirt road for the church. Girl, all of our roads were dirt roads.
No, ma'am.
They didn't even have names.
You are country.
Very country.
Oh, honey, I remember my grandma sitting on the porch, the front porch, boiling peanuts.
Yes. And they're so delicious.
I love boiled peanuts. I love whenever I used to, that's one of my favorite childhood memories. We lived in Birmingham. We would drive from Alabama to Florida, and we wouldn't take the main roads, we'd take the back roads. Yeah. And all these little huts on the side of the road that would have people that were selling like fresh fruit and boiled peanuts.
Pecan pralines.
Yeah. Everything was like homemade or like freshly picked out of their garden.
Oh yeah, we always had sweet tea in the refrigerator. Always. My mom would like, yo, you want a snack? And that would be like she'd throw corn on the cob in the pot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like boiled corn on the cob, and that's like just a snack. I love that.
And a lot of people don't understand, like the Yankees don't understand that sweet tea, everybody has a recipe for it. It's not just sugar and tea.
Yeah.
That is not what it is.
No.
There are full recipes. Every family has theirs, and it is handed down from generation to generation.
People think all sweet tea is the same. It is not the same. No. It is not the same.
Mm-mm.
You have to go to Birmingham and get you some Milo's sweet tea. I think they sell it in some grocery stores.
At Walmart now.
So that's from Birmingham.
Yeah, if you don't get diabetes off of one sip, it is not sweet tea. That shit should go down like cold syrup.
I love it because I don't drink soda and I don't even eat, I'm like sugar free, but the minute I get off that plane, I'm like, sweet tea, please.
Yeah. Yep. Sweet tea.
Add a little peach.
I can't remember where I was the first time I ever went to a restaurant. It was not in the South. It was when I was traveling, and I asked for sweet tea, and they were like, "We don't have sweet tea here." I was like, "What?"
I moved to New York City. I sold everything and moved to New York when I was 18 years old, like 4 days after my 18th birthday. And I got there and I sat down in a diner and they're like, "What can I bring you to drink?" I said, "I'll have a sweet tea." And they looked at me like I had three heads. Like, what? What is that? Do you want me to bring you an iced tea? Yes, an iced tea. So they brought it. I was like, oh, what is this?
That's so funny that it's like, it's like the cultures, even in our own country, are so different in different places.
Yeah.
Like even like when I went to Australia, I'm a very picky eater. When I went to Australia to a McDonald's there, I asked for a cheeseburger with pickles and cheese only. So I'm thinking, okay, great. Because Australian ketchup does not taste like the ketchup in the US.
It's sweeter.
I don't know, but I don't like it. So, so I ordered that. And when they brought it out, it literally was a bun with cheese and pickles. They didn't even put the meat in there. I was like, excuse me, where's my patty? He said, you asked for
he asked for a cheeseburger.
Yeah, cheese and pickles only.
Cheese and pickles.
There's no meat. I was like, that's not what I meant.
Oh, Trinity got a real where's the beef moment.
Yeah, I like my meat.
I have lots of food issues. I'm very, very selective, picky eater. Probably the
I am too. Surprisingly, for as large as I am, I have a lot of allergies, so I can't eat a lot of foods.
When I go to McDonald's, I'm like, I just want the burger, like no bread, no cheese, no pickles, no ketchup, no nothing, just a plain sandal that Jesus wore.
How is that appetizing though? That frozen meat, meat in quotation marks.
Well, yeah, I don't eat there, but that's just like how it would be. Like if I cook a turkey burger at home, then it's literally just the turkey burger and maybe some onion. Like
you season it?
Hmm?
Do you season it?
Yes.
Okay, at least you do that. I can't eat meat that's not seasoned.
So let me tell y'all just a little story real quick. So I went on the keto diet. I did it for 2 months, had some success, whatever. My very first night that I wasn't able to cook at home, I was out of rehearsal and I got out of rehearsal so late that the only thing open was an Arbys. And I went through, I was like,
love
oh,
Arby's.
I can't have the sauce because of the sugar. I can't have the bun because of the carbs. So I ordered a pound of Arby's thin sliced roast beef.
Roast beef, yeah.
It is the nastiest thing I've
You
ever
have
put
to
in my
have
mouth.
you have to have the cheese.
It was disgusting. It was it was gritty. It had a texture that I had never tasted before. And I love Arby's sandwiches. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be delicious. I'm just gonna shovel that meat in my mouth. No, girl, it was like eating wet sandpaper.
I'm sure.
I can't stand that smell of microwaved meat. Like if you walk into Subway, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna literally throw up. It smells like microwaved meat.
I've never heard that, but now I'm gonna go into a Subway and sniff it.
Do it, girl.
So this is what microwaved meat smells like.
It's so gross. There's a couple, the only fast food places, like if I'm in an airport and I'm like, I need to eat or I'm gonna die, and there's no other choice. It's like Bojangles.
Oh, yes.
Oh. Talk about sweet tea. There's good.
Well, you know what? You're making me hungry. I want to know more about you. Tell our fans what other projects you have going on.
Well, right now it's laser focused on this variety show. I'm hoping that it's called the Sherry Vine Variety Show, and I'm hoping that it does well because I'm ready to. I'm already thinking of season 2. Fingers crossed, and then hopefully we'll be able to get more guests. Like for this one. We filmed it in November. It was very, very strict COVID rules.
Yeah.
So there was no flying people in and all of that. It was like, it had to be in LA, and we could only have 10 people at a time, including cast and crew. So, so it was very restrictive, but we managed to do it. So hopefully the next one will be a bit more like open. But
who can we look forward to this time? Can you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's 6 episodes. I was kind of pushed in new directions, which was amazing because originally I was going to do a parody, of course, like what I do, and for each episode, and then Out TV was like, absolutely no way, we're not doing any music rights. And then I was like, okay, which was. I had to write 5 original songs, which was great. It really kind of pushed, and it's still like, I do a love ballad called I Want to Suck Your Dick. So it's not like,
oh, wow.
It's still very Sherry Vine, but, I did original songs and it was really exciting. But Jackie Beat is in every episode. She's part of the company. Mario Diaz, Bianca Del Rio is in every single episode, which was so like, of course, gracious.
I've never heard of Bianca Del Rio.
Oh, she's huge in Honduras, but
okay.
She's a newcomer.
Okay, good.
And then we got like Alaska, Bob the Drag Queen, Varla, Jean Merman, Candace Kane, Peppermint, Monet, Tammy Brown.
Oh, it's
you have a lot of great guests.
Yeah,
you got some great guests.
So I think it's really funny, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see. And other than that, I'm just so excited. I'm so fucking excited to get back on the road. It's funny because Jackie and I were talking about it, and she's just like, she's like, I'm happy to work, but she's like, if I could just continue to work from my living room, not ever have to get on an airplane or a hotel, I'd be really happy. And I'm the opposite. I fucking live.
I need the interaction. I need the interaction. Yeah.
And I live for it. I mean, I love being in that fucking lounge, and I love being on a plane. I turn the phone. I don't ever have the phone or anything on. That's like my one time that I'm like kind of disconnected and just reading. And I fucking love a hotel. I love it. So I
love a hotel. I love a lounge. And I love that when you walk into the Delta Lounge, you always look for the person who has no eyebrows. And you're like, okay, there's my sister. I'm going to go sit with her until my flight's here.
There's always somebody with no eyebrows.
Exactly.
I love being in the Delta Lounge and like trying to like see if there's any famous people. The only time I've ever, that I can remember of running into anybody famous was I don't remember where I was coming from, but the cast of Schitt's Creek was there.
Aww.
And they were all sitting in a group together. And I didn't go and say hi because I didn't want to, I know how that is when people interrupt me when I'm trying to like just, have
Chill.
a breather. Yeah. But I was like, oh my God, I love them.
They are.
That would have been a difficult one to pass up because I feel like you. I'm like, I don't want to bug anyone, but I would have been like, wow, I love them.
Yeah.
I love them too. They were definitely good quarantine viewing for me. And that final season, that final episode, I've never seen a more perfect series finale in my life because I still wanted it to keep going, but I was fine. I was okay that it didn't. I was like, I have all the answers, all the loose ends are put up.
I usually hate finales also, but 6 Feet Under, gorgeous finale.
Yeah.
But, Schitt's Creek for sure was a really good finale.
It was really good.
It was a really good show that I loved, and there's two that I loved every episode, but the finale. Every episode but the finale. One is Game of Thrones, which we're not going to talk about because
I've never seen it.
Okay, we're not going to talk about the finale episode is awful. Other than that, to me, I loved every episode. And then I loved Dexter. And the finale was just so awful.
Terrible. Back.
They're I don't know if is it all the way out again? They're bringing it back.
I never watched that one either.
I agree. I didn't like that ending, and I was furious about Game of Thrones. I know we don't want to open that can of worms, but I've never been so mad at a TV show ever in my whole life because I was obsessed.
And 8 years invested.
That's what I say. I feel like I've given you so much, and I've watched the whole thing 3 times. So I'm a huge fan, and every single time I'm like, well, maybe this time I'll feel different. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you have any shows that you like loved and then you hated the ending?
Oh my gosh, a lot of them. Roseanne. I loved Roseanne, and then I feel I'm so torn because I feel like Roseanne never did any better acting than she did in that finale. But that finale was such a fuck you to everybody who had invested almost a decade into those characters. It really felt like a bait and switch, and it left more questions than it did answers.
And you're talking about before they brought it back.
The original run.
Yeah.
They brought it back.
The last season of that, she won the lottery, right?
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden, they were filthy rich, and it was just kind of like,
It was stupid. They got really stupid with it. It jumped the shark. And then at the very end, you're like, I've sat through this entire horrible season waiting for you to wrap this up in a really fun, nice, Roseanne-like way. And all of a sudden, you're telling me, no, none of that ever happened. I'm like, okay, it was all a dream.
Dang.
Oh my gosh. No, it was just annoying. And then when it came back, I was like, well, maybe we'll finally get some of those things answered. No, they didn't do it. That first season before they booted her out and turned it into the Connors was trash. It was so good. But the Connors has become something really nice.
I don't mind it. It's like, I don't love it. I don't like plan a schedule around or whatever, but I'll be like, oh, I can watch this. And I'm like,
yeah. It's very watchable. That first season of the reboot with Roseanne was not watchable.
I haven't watched it, but they're rebooting a lot of shows, like a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm. I was so happy that Fuller House came back because I loved Full House growing up. Like that was my childhood. I love those people, it never got an actual series finale.
And thank God, because the older daughter is like super uber Republican, like conservative. Yeah. I'm like, God, I'm so glad that.
Is that Kirk Cameron's sister?
Yes,
but she's totally balanced out by Jodie Sweetin, who's like this gorgeous party girl who loves everybody and is there the first one drinking and the last one out of the bar at night. Like,
I don't know. I never watched it. I don't know why. It just never appealed to me. And I think John Stamos is like, sickening gorgeous. So I can't believe I never watched it. I've never seen one.
Well, maybe if he was like naked, we would watch it.
Well, it was just my childhood. Like I grew up with those kids on that show. I'm that age, you know? So I was really invested in it, and it felt like such a kick to the stomach whenever it got canceled. And it was just like no real finale. It was just more questions. Suddenly Michelle has amnesia from riding a horse, and now she's fine and she's on the monkey. But girl, I still can't wrap my head around it, but I'm glad
That's the show. That's the difference in our age right there. Because your show was the Full House and mine was the Partridge Family.
Oh my gosh. You know what show my grandparents, I was raised by my grandparents, my grandmother would keep on TV, and it made me watch it. Little House on the freaking Prairie, bitch.
But I liked it.
No,
it was good.
No, girl, Little House on the freaking Prairie. Like, there's nothing exciting about that show.
That bitch in the hard front ringlets pushing the other one off the wheelchair. That was great.
It is all
Nellie Olson. It was all about Nellie Olson.
Yeah.
It's all like monochromatic, like nude on top of gray, on top of white, on top of cream, like all their clothing. It all looks just like there's a filter over the whole thing. I just was like, it needs something.
You wanted to throw a little stuff.
I mean, I was super gay, so I'm like, what is this, grandma? Like, I don't want to watch this.
I agree. And I still, to this day, have this hang up about Westerns or anything.
Oh, I hate them.
In that time period, because I'm like, where's the Bob Mackie? Where is
yes. I mean, I will agree. It's not my favorite, but I find it very watchable. See, my thing is like, I don't have one genre of thing that I'm attracted to. And there are really no shows other than something like Schitt's Creek where I'm like, I have got to sit down and watch this. I have to know what's happening before the rest of the world spoils it for me. But I can just sit down and watch anything. And if I find Little House on the Prairie very watchable.
Well, I'm glad that you can watch it, and because I'm not gonna watch it.
You know which one I hated growing up was Chips. My grandmother used to watch Chips, and I hated it.
Chips was terrible. Did you watch Westworld?
So look, I watched it until the most recent season. I felt like after they got out of the Western world, that it was kind of like, okay, I'm over it. I'm done.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm the opposite. What I hated about the Western world was the aesthetic. Like the story was great, and I was in it, but I was like, ugh. And then all of a sudden, in the last season, it's like, okay, I like seeing Dolores in a leather catsuit. Thank you. It's so
I love to see when I watch it out, I'm always looking, because I knew that it was all animatronics or not real. So I was always looking, because they would always put little things in there that were odd, that weren't in that time period. Right. So I would always be trying to find that little Easter egg in the show. That's what entertained me watching it. But
yeah, I never watched
last season is amazing.
I guess I'm gonna have to finish it. I only watched the first 2 episodes.
I never watched any of it, but what I did watch faithfully was Supermarket Sweep. Oh. And so, of course, I loved the original show. Well, I guess I'm not the original, because I wasn't even around for that. But the one that everybody knows and thinks about of Supermarket Sweep, the big one from the 90s. I loved it growing up. Binge watched it again once the collection was released on streaming. And then, of course, the new edition hosted by Leslie Jones, featuring Jackie Beat and Sherry Vine as one of the most fun teams to ever grace that supermarket. What was that like?
I mean, sincerely, we had so much fucking fun. I mean, first of all, that was shot in September, and we really literally had not been out of the house from March until September. And that was just is this going to really happen? Is this really happening? Oh my God, it's happening. And as soon as we got there, they were so amazing. Of course, everybody's gay. and Leslie is a huge drag fan. And it was a surprise. She did not know that we were doing it until we walked out. And she's like, oh my God, you got drag queens. It was so fun. I mean, Jackie, of course, was really not happy that we lost. I was just like, whatever, this was so fun. It was great.
I was not happy you lost. I was not.
Makes sense.
We were rooting for you.
I know we lost by 18 cents. I know what the funny thing is, I was like, okay, we're 20 years older than this other couple we're competing really against. The two girls were really fun, but I knew that this heterosexual couple was our competition. And the funny thing is, they live 5 minutes from me, and we hung out. Like, I go over to their house and have coffee and hang out with them and their kids. They're so fucking cool and amazing. I love them.
I love that. See, look, Supermarket Sweep, bringing families together.
Maybe we should do that.
I would love to do Supermarket Sweep. How did that even happen?
Well, we were that was like November of 2019.
Oh, wow.
We were asked if we wanted to audition, or like whatever they consider an audition. And we were like, sure. So we did like all these different meetings on Skype and everything. And we had to be in drag, and then we had to be out of drag. And then they were supposed to shoot in March, like the end of March. Mm-hmm. And then of course it got postponed, and and it kept going. But we had to jump through a lot of hoops, honestly. It wasn't just like, hey, do you want to be on it? We had to do like on Skype, the interviews, and then we had to do like mock games.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So are you gonna go on Supermarket Sweep All Stars?
Totally. That's the only good thing about not winning.
Don't steal my line. That's my line.
He's gonna go on Supermarket Sweep All Jars. And there's just gonna be a bunch of like end caps full of glass jars, and you have to navigate the cart through without breaking them off.
That's kind of funny, actually.
I'm still waiting for them to do a drag race season of Elder Femmes, you know, the Golden Girls season.
I would love to have like more icons. Legends. I feel like they just pick the most obscure and young, and which is great. We need that.
Stop talking shit about me.
But I feel like the casting needs to be a little bit more diverse. I definitely think.
I think that's why I've really been enjoying UK Drag Race.
Yeah.
And even Down Under. You know, I mean, it's a little rough around the edges.
Oh, she's real rough.
It's rough, but the girls are fun.
The girls are fun, but she's rough.
I haven't watched it yet, but I do know Karen, and I love her.
So I got to tour with Ketamine and Anita Wiglet, and love them. And I toured with Maxie. Oh, Maxie did that Comedy Queens tour that you, me, and Jackie did. She was our opener for that, and she's so lovely. So it's really fun to like watch these girls that I really enjoy. Kind of like,
I got to get into it. I did watch part of the UK, and I loved it.
Yeah, those are it's so good. It's so good. I want to talk about. So how I know of Sherry Vine, how most people know, is that you recreate parodies of songs. That's your thing. How did you get started in like, oh, I'm going to start doing parodies?
It's funny because I started doing parodies in high school. So like a decade before I ever did drag. And this is a true story. It started because I auditioned for The Wizard of Oz, the musical version that my high school was doing. And in my head, I was like, I have been in the chorus for 3 years. I'm a senior now. I'm going to be the Scarecrow. It's a done deal. And I didn't get it. I got some small little part. And I was so furious that I quit. I was like, fuck you and your show. And I was like, I'm gonna write a filthy parody of every song, and then I'm gonna Xerox it and put it in the programs. I did not do, but I actually wrote a filthy parody of every single song. That's how it started. And before I did drag, I would perform out of drag, and in my act, I would do parodies, but out of drag as a guy. And so when I started doing Sherry Vine, it was just kind of like a natural progression. So I have, a lot of people think I started doing it with shit in my pants on YouTube, but that got a lot of exposure, but I've been doing parodies since high school.
That's crazy. That's so good.
The Wizard of Oz brings out the worst in all of us. I have some horrible, not proud moments from auditioning for that show as well. I wanted to be the lion, and they cast me as the mayor of the Munchkins.
You'd be
What?
an amazing lion.
Well, I ended up playing it 3 times after that. But that first time, I was like, oh no, it's my favorite movie, my favorite story.
I
I
never
think
did any of
the
that.
3 of us could do it.
Yeah.
Lion, Scarecrow, Tin Man.
Oh, I was thinking 3 Wicked
In
Witches.
person.
No heart. You're right. Okay.
Now, one thing that I find very interesting, knowing you on such a personal level, is that outside of the Sherry Vine persona, you are a little more, I don't want to say conservative because that's not what I mean, reserved.
Reserve, yeah.
Yes, you're a little more reserved. Like you kind of wince at some things that people say, like, oh gosh, that's a little too far. Like I've noticed that in the dressing room with sometimes somebody will say something and Sherry will be like, oh my goodness. Oh, she'll clutch the pearls.
Oh.
And it's like, you're the one singing about shitting your pants.
And you're over here. Oh.
I secretly love it. I just have to kind of pretend to be the nice one, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's all an act.
I love
Okay.
that.
But the
Well, I
first
feel like
time I noticed that, I was like, oh wow.
I feel like out of drag, I sincerely do not, I don't crave the spotlight. Like if I'm in drag or whatever, then I want to at least be participating. It doesn't have to be about me at all, but out of drag, it so totally does not need to be about me at all.
Same.
I like to observe.
Me too.
I'm the same.
That's why I have an annual pass to Disney. I like to sit on a bench and observe.
That's why I'm on Grindr, because I love to observe.
And reserve her spot.
Yes. And conserve,
Now,
Preserve.
preserve, all of those herbs.
we have a game that we've been playing with our guests on here.
I love
It's kind of like 2 truths and a lie. I'm going to give you 3 titles of pornographic movies. 2 of them are real, 1 of them is fake. I want to see if either of you can identify the fake one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is the Fizzer of Oz, like Oz, kind of Oz.
Oh, okay.
By Curious George, and A Midsummer Night's Cream.
Oh, okay.
Trinity, which one do you think is the fake one?
Say them one more time.
The Fizzer of Oz.
Okay.
By Curious George.
Okay.
A Midsummer Night's Cream.
I'm gonna say by Curious George, but that would be a fierce porn movie.
Sherry, what do you think is the fake one?
I think the Oz one is not real, sadly, because it's fucking hilarious.
Well, we do have a winner, and our winner is Sherry. The Fizzer of Oz is the fake one. By Curious George and Midsummer Night's Cream are real pornographic
I cannot
movies
believe that.
that you can Google.
Let me tell you, my first ever porn that I ever watched, I had to have been like 8 to 10 years old. I snuck into my uncle's bedroom and he had like thousands, it seemed like, VHS tapes that he is like recorded porn, and I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was like a movie or something. So I like went in because it was like recorded, so it didn't have anything on it. So I popped it in the VCR because I was like, oh, it's a movie. So, and then girl, it was a movie, and it was called, what was it? Willy Wanker and the Fun Factory.
My first porn, we had a TV VCR combo, like a little one that usually stayed in my room, but my brothers had taken it to their room and they got a tape jammed inside of it. So when I took it back to my room and plugged it in, all of a sudden I see these really skinny boys like just going to town on these big girls. It was called Sumo Sue and the Fat Ladies of Wrestling.
What?
Yes, I'll never forget it. And it turns out that my teeny tiny skinny little brother really loves larger women. And that's how I found out.
Well,
That's so funny. I mean, I don't have a good story like that because they didn't have, when I was a kid, we didn't have
It
computers.
was a reel to reel.
It was reel to reel, yeah. And so I think the first time I saw porn, I was in London performing with this youth choir, and we sat out and went to Heaven, which was a club. And this
Yes.
It's still there. Yeah.
okay, this is 1,000 years ago. Okay, 1,000 years ago. And we are way underage. And we're at Heaven, and I remember seeing it in this one room or something. They had porn playing, and I was just like,
And you loved it.
And look at us all now.
That's when I got the knee pads.
Well, they were free with entry.
I love it. Well, we've had fun with you today on our podcast.
I know, this has been great. It's nice seeing you and catching up with you.
I mean, I adore you both, and I miss you guys so much. And Ginger, I haven't not seen you in person in like 2 years. It's ridiculous. So.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Not even in the Delta Lounge have we seen.
Not even a Delta Lounge. The next time you're out here, either of you, please come over. We can hang by the pool and just, it's really fun.
I love that. We'll do drag from the tits up and make all sorts of fabulous content.
Yeah,
you don't want me to... and the Fat Ladies of Wrestling Part 2.
You don't want me to stand up.
So do you have anything coming out soon that our listeners can follow you by, all that kind of stuff?
Everybody go to sherryvine.com because it's literally every single thing. All my social media links are there. There's all the information about the Sherry Vine Variety Show and where you can watch it and links. And then the schedule of, it's not a lot right now, but it's starting to come back. So I have something in New York and then Palm Springs, Phoenix, Tucson. I'm opening for Bianca on her new tour in the fall. So that'll all be on my website.
And they can listen to your music where?
Oh, honey, YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube.
These original songs will be the first time in my life that I could actually put something legally on iTunes. So coming soon.
I love that.
We'll all be coming soon.
God willing.
Well, we love you so much, honey, and I hope that you continue just to thrive because you always seem to.
You're so fair.
I love you guys too, and let's hang out.
Yes, let's do it.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, I love talking to Sherry.
Yes, I like talking to drag queens, and especially drag queens that have been around the block. They've done everything. Mm-hmm. They have so many stories.
Well, and that's the thing. They've done everything that we are now doing, and what we're doing now, they've already progressed past. So it's nice to talk to them and see what's next.
Yeah, and she's still not that she's old, but she's still going. Like her career has spanned from like the early 90s to now, and still doing crazy new stuff,
incredible things. And it's really nice to talk to people who are so successful.
That's the word,
successful. Absolutely, because success is not really measured by one thing that you do, one golden moment that you have. Success should really be measured by how long you can propel that one moment into a full career. And Sherry is absolutely one of those people who have been able to do that.
And very sweet.
Very sweet. A drag queen's drag queen.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of drag queens, you can listen to us here every week on Werkin Girl, the podcast. You can also find us on the social media. So make sure you go to gingerminge.com. You can find all my information there.
And trinitythetuck.com, Trinity the Tuck on all my social medias.
Yeah.
If you're not following us already and you're listening, then girl, what's wrong with you?
Exactly. We're fun girls. No,
we're
not fun girls. We're working girls. We'll see you next time.
Bye.